The wraparound series comes to an end here on this beautiful Monday night for baseball at the Big A. The Toronto Blue Jays have taken 2 of the first 3, and tonight it is game number 4 as the Angels try to earn a series split. We welcome you inside the Big A and back to Angels baseball on Fox Sports West along with Mark Gubiza. I'm Victor Rojas, and if you want to start taking away some positives for the Angels over the weekend on the offensive side of things, Albert Pujols certainly starting to swing the bat a little bit better, a little bit more authority, and picking up some RBIs. Yeah,
Victor, the machine is certainly warming up. It started really down in Houston when he had the big 3-run home run that had propelled the Angels to the victory down in Houston. Ricky Nolasco picked up a W that day. There was a fastball on the inside part of the plate. He's made some adjustments. We're seeing a lot of pitches in off the plate and then breaking balls away, but he's able to bring those hands inside the baseball consistently, and he's really hit the ball well when you think about its entire season here at the Big A. 368 batting average for Albert Pujols here at home, and of course he's been driving the ball well on a consistent basis against Toronto in this series. 7 for 14, so he's seeing the ball well, driving the ball well. 4 RBIs, 15 RBI on the season for Albert Pujols, which is 5th best in the American League. Leads active players in almost every offensive category, so he's starting to heat up, which is where Mike Trout has hit the ball very well. You need Cole Calhoun to get it going and somebody behind Albert to get going. Otherwise, Albert's been carrying the team himself of late.
Yesterday afternoon, they were stymied by Stroman, and it'll turn to left-hander Francisco Liriano today. The Angels will turn to Jesse Chavez. He unfortunately took the loss in the extra innings on Friday night, facing his former mates getting the start tonight. As we're just about ready for baseball here at the Big A. Sit back and relax. Going to bring you the lineups in the first pitch when we return. Baseball on Fox Sports West is being brought to you by Hyundai. There's no better time to buy a new Hyundai than now. See your local Hyundai dealer. Visit buyhyundai.com. Welcome back out to Angels Stadium, getting you ready for the fourth and final game between the Angels and the Toronto Blue Jays. Toronto will head to St. Louis later on tonight, get there about 5:30 in the morning to take on the Cardinals tomorrow. The Angels will stay here and welcome in the Seattle Mariners. Pardon me, the Oakland A's. Oakland A's.
Yes.
Next trip, they go to Texas and Seattle.
See, you were already thinking ahead. I always like to add that about you.
I'm thinking into the May schedule already.
Yes.
Yeah, the Angels, obviously with a loss yesterday, now find themselves at 8-12 on the year. They did make a roster move today. There was a trade consummated between the Angels and the Atlanta Braves. Former big leaguer David Hernandez, who originally was with the Baltimore Orioles and most recently with the Philadelphia Phillies, was brought over in a trade yesterday for a player to be named later, or Cash. Hernandez activated. He is in the bullpen tonight. Daniel Wright, who was really stellar through his 5 innings yesterday, limiting the Toronto Blue Jays offense to no runs, was sent out to AAA, and he's just a casualty of the bullpen, the revolving door in that pen.
And the amount of innings pitched out of the bullpen so far this season for the Angels. But the important thing is getting some zeros put up early on from Jesse Chavez, but getting the offense rolling, scoring some runs early. When the Angels score some runs early, they definitely have put themselves in position to win the game.
Take a look at the lineup for John Gibbons and his 5-13 Toronto Blue Jays, 7.5 back in the American League East. Kevin Pillar will lead things off. He's in the midst of an 11-game hitting streak. He's the center fielder. Ezekiel Carrera in left, Jose Bautista in right, Kendrys Morales at DH. Justin Smoke at first, Russell Martin behind the plate, Chris Coughlin is the third baseman, Devin Travis at second, and Ryan Goins getting the start at shortstop once again for the injured Troy Tulowitzki. He will bat 9. Taking on Jesse Chavez. This will be his 5th game, 4th start. He's 1-3 on the season with an even 5 earned run average.
Yeah, his fastball is going to be 90 to 95. He'll throw a 2-seam, 4-seam fastball, good slider, cut fastball, curveball, and a changeup. Looking for that first career W against the Toronto Blue Jays. 0-4 mark for Jesse against the Jays.
Take a look at the defense for the Angels, wearing their pearly white home uniforms tonight. Cameron Mavens in left, Mike Trout at center, Cole Calhoun in right. The infield with Yunel Escobar and Andrelton Simmons on the left side. Danny Espinosa and Jeffrey Marte on the right, with Martin Maldonado behind the plate.
And Mike Trout out in center field. Jesse Chavez will get his fair share of fly balls, and Mike Trout with 1 assist so far this year. Career high last year in 2015, also with 7 outfield assists. Trout just 1 error in his last 95 games. Look for him to make one of those outstanding plays, knowing that he needs to do something with the bat and with the glove to win this game today against the Jays.
Completely different umpiring crew for today's finale, and I believe they would stick around for the A's series, but we'll determine that tomorrow. Toby Basner will be the home plate umpire. Mike McClinsky is at first base. Jerry Lane, the crew chief, is at second, and Marvin Hudson at third base. Chavez is ready to go, and Pillar stepping in. Cool night, 66 degrees here at the Big A. Clouds up above, and a slight little breeze blowing out. First one tonight is outside for ball 1. Mentioned the Pillar 11-game hitting streak, second longest in the big leagues this year, behind Anthony Rizzo's 12-gamer. 315 average, 3 home runs, 5 RBIs. He's also chipped in with 5 doubles. 1-1.
Well, if Jesse gets that call throughout this game, he's going to be very effective. Fastball just a little bit off the outside corner. That's where he's going to live, lower part of the zone with his fastball.
2 balls and a strike. If that's going to be called a strike, our stage manager Dean Benson could be effective tonight.
Yes,
on the mound.
Quite possibly.
Here's a 2-1. Fastball.
And that's exactly where you have to pitch Kevin Pillar. Even though he'll take a big swing at that fastball, it's away. He's very quick, middle to middle in on fastballs, even off-speed pitches in the inner half. Has had his troubles, especially on 2 strike counts of going down and away. You see all 4 pitches away so far.
Overthrown breaking ball.
Jesse pitched 1 inning in Friday night's game, the 13th. Got the first 2 outs at the inning, but they gave a back-to-back singles and an unfortunate 3-run home run to Jose Bautista. And there's a walk to lead off the game.
In my Hyundai key for this game for Mike Scioscia's club to be able to beat this Toronto Blue Jay club. A little Charlie Pierce, every little thing. That means do everything well here. Defensive side, the offensive side, on the mound. Above all, when asked to get someone over, get someone in the scoring position, bring them home. But every little thing very important here for this chance to being even up the series at 2 apiece before Oakland comes to town.
Ezekiel Carrera at the plate. .293 average. Pilar's on the move. The throw down by Maldonado. Good one. One hop throw. Simmons got it. Tags out Pilar, and there's the first out.
Well, how often we talk about that cannon of an arm for Maldonado. Even a low throw, but it was so quick. And a scoop once again by Simmons. Pilar, no hesitation, knew he was thrown out at that point. Tried to make contact. Right on the money. Tag applied. Perfect throw from Maldonado. Great angle right here to seeing the tag, because always we want to make sure keep that tag on, especially with that ability to be able to use that arm and then go around the base and tag it.
Good off-speed pitch, 0-2. And players have gotten accustomed to the new rules of no more sweep tags and instant replays, making sure the glove stays down, attacking the body of the arm. And Basner rings up Carrera, 2 down.
Now, how big was that throw now by Maldonado when you think about it? Man on first, nobody out. You have Carrera, who's been swinging the bat well, with Bautista coming up next. Throw him out, and then you get a punch out. All of a sudden, momentum goes back to Jesse Chavez. That fastball inside part of play, a little bit off the corner, but that 2-seamer run back framed well by Maldonado.
Bautista looks at a strike. Right fielder hitting 132. Couple of doubles, a home run. 4 runs batted in. 1 for 3 game yesterday with a walk and a single.
Mislocation with that one. Fastball that was supposed to be inside. That was a little bit close to that area where Bautista hit the 3-run home run off of Jesse Chavez the other night. Going back to that on Friday night, and see the location of this pitch. It was a cut fastball, but it was a lower part of the strike zone, middle part of the plate.
And that's a 2-out walk. Second issued of this inning.
One thing you don't see that a lot from Jesse Chavez is a walk, but 2 already in this inning. There's 5 the entire season at this point. Also, one thing the Jays got to keep an eye on, it's very difficult to steal off of Chavez. It has been throughout his career. Then you mix in the fact that Martin Maldonado behind the plate, pretty much going to take away that chance. And they don't run a whole lot anyhow, taking that chance away from him as long as he holds the baseball enough.
Here's Kendrys. Skies this one. Shallow left field. Maben has to come in on it. No damage against Jesse Chavez here in the top of the first. The Angels have Escobar, Calhoun, and Trout coming up with no score. Let's check out Mike Scioscia's lineup that'll try to support Jesse Chavez tonight. Mentioned the Angels at 8-12, 5.5 back in the West. Escobar back in the lineup. He is at third base. Cole Calhoun at right. Mike Trout at center. Albert Pujols at DH. Jeffrey Marte with a lefty on the mound gets a start at first base. Angel Simmons at shortstop. Cameron Mavens at left. Andy Espinosa at second. Martin Maldonado batting ninth doing the catching. They are taking on the 33-year-old left-hander native of the Dominican Republic by the name of Francisco Liriano.
Liriano's got a fastball, good one, 91 to 96. A slider throws a lot of them and a very good changes. My go-tos to be successful against him, though, is be patient. He can walk some batters. 7 walks, a little over 12 innings pitched, and don't expand on his slider. He'll throw that slider down and in the dirt often, bring it up in the strike zone, be more effective.
Fourth start of the season for Liriano. 1-1 record, a 5.11 ERA. 17 strikeouts in 12 1/3, but you said can be erratic. Escobar swinging first pitch, fouls it off. Now comes in batting .280, 3 doubles, a home run, 5 RBIs. Liriano picked up in a trade from Pittsburgh last August. Misses down and away.
And when they first brought him over from Pittsburgh, trying to want him to throw more four-seam fastballs, and initially very successful at utilizing his fastball more. When you look at percentages this year, though, just 43% of his pitches are fastballs. A lot of those.
He now could not hold up. He'll go down swinging for the first down. Let's check out the Toronto Blue Jays tonight defensively. Carrera, Pilar, Bautista in the outfield from left to right. Coghlan and Goins on the left side. Travis and Smoke on the right. Martin behind the plate.
And Russell Martin again behind the plate for the Jays has been very successful in his career as far as playing on winning teams. But look at the amount of games he has caught. Third amongst the active players as far as games caught. Only Yadier Molina and Brian McCann with more games caught than Russell Martin.
Cole at 214. 3 doubles, a home run, and 4 runs batted in. He's in a leadoff spot yesterday. Ended up going 0 for 3 with a walk. The Angels managed 7 hits, 2 of which occurred in the ninth.
When you go back to Russell Martin, 6 straight years in the postseason with 3 different teams, so he's been a winner. 9 of the last 11 seasons in the postseason for Russell Martin. Says a lot, especially a demanding position like a catcher. Yeah, handle the pitching staff, also have a productive at bat. Been a winner throughout his career.
Two one, back towards second and past Travis. A 1-out single puts a man on for Mike Trout.
Cole now 3 for 6 in his career versus Liriano.
Liriano pitching his 12th game, 11th career start against the Angels, 2-6 with an ERA of over 6. Been around a while at 33 years of age. Come up with Minnesota back in 2005.
Remember the comparison between him and Johan Santana back in those days with the Minnesota Twins.
Together.
And even the conversation had with a number of people in Minnesota, they felt Liriano's stuff was actually better than Santana's. And Santana had some unbelievable seasons in the majors.
Off speed to Trout, misses away. Mike has himself a 7-game hitting streak. 424 on base percentage. See the batting average at 351. Time called.
Pretty late call, too.
Yeah.
Liriano almost ready to deliver the baseball.
So that number where Trout's third in the American League currently in batting. Avisail Garcia at 371 for the White Sox. Who had that in the preseason pick. 1-1. Starling Castro's second.
When we talked about active hit streaks, Anthony Rizzo, he started out real slow with the Cubs this year.
Jammed over the fastball. It's 1-2. I'll tell you what, you look at the top 10 as far as batting leaders in the American League. Not your prototypical leaderboard. You talk about Garcia, Castro, Benintendi's a young player. Steven Souza Jr. is the American League Player of the Week for last week. Chase Headley, Xander Bogaerts, Jacoby Ellsbury, Lorenzo Cain, and Jose Altuve at the bottom there. A little bit high. 2-2. I like it. I think that's good for the game.
Some other names you're seeing instead of the normal ones. So much good young talent in baseball.
Absolutely.
You're talking about from 25 years and younger. I mean, amazing players.
2-2. Full count.
Running that fastball in, trying to go upstairs. Albert Pujols on deck. Talked about him in the opening, how well he has swung the bat here in this series and how well he has swung the bat at the Big A this season.
Three-two now. Trout skies one out toward right. Bautista shading toward the foul line is there. 2 down. Cole remains at first.
Boy, Trouty just missed that pitch right there. Was out in that part of the plate where he could do some damage, especially if he stays back a little bit longer and drives that one to right center field.
Albert with the series that he's had here raises average 237. It's low, nice dig by Martin. Pull shift on with Travis toward the middle. Outfield pretty much stays the same. Ground ball toward the hole. Going to the backhand. Long balance throw, and it is on target. Albert retired for the third out. We'll head to the second with no score. Angels baseball on Fox Sports West is being brought to you by your local Southern California Land Rover retailers. Top of the second here at Angel Stadium. The fourth and final game between the Angels and the Toronto Blue Jays were scoreless. Jesse Chavez, a couple of walks and a strikeout in the first, but also got a terrific throw by Martin Maldonado to gun down Kevin Pillar, trying to steal second. So it'll be Justin Smoak to lead things off, switch hitting first baseman. He'll take a strike.
Good feel for that slow curveball from Jesse.
Good off-speed pitch.
With back-to-back changeups. First pitch, curveball. Changeup, just a little bit off the plate, followed up. They're almost the exact same location this time. Smoak chased it. We talked about how he hits high pitch as well. A couple of changeups down and away. Might not be a bad time to go down and away again with something off-speed.
Good off-speed. He got him. Second strikeout for Chavez. One away. Hey, tonight's game is on AFN, the American Forces Network, now in its 75th year of broadcasting to American military personnel overseas, more than 170 countries and naval ships at sea. Welcome to those watching tonight. As always, we thank you for your continued service.
Really like the Chavez came back with another changeup, so we went back-to-back-to-back changeups.
Also Martin, the catcher. 49 batting average, takes a strike. 20 homer season last year. A product of East York, Ontario. His third season with the Blue Jays. One ball, one strike. Off to a slow start. A couple of guys off to slow starts. Bautista, Martin, coupled with Tulowitzki, now on the DL. Donaldson's been on the DL with a calf strain. Good off speed, 1-2.
I wonder how much that has to do with the fact is Donaldson's been out for a bit. Tulowitzki out now. All of a sudden is your key parts of your offense trying to do a little bit too much, expanding their strike zone. You got to use that against him as a pitcher.
And I know we've talked quite a bit about the American League West, the depth that this division has, but that American League East is no rollover division.
No, especially the way Baltimore, a surprise team, is playing. You know, Boston with their talent, the Yankees.
Pulled through the left side. It's a base hit. One fastball up. And a man on board with one away. Coughlin coming up. Take a look at the standings in the American League East. Mentioned the Blue Jays at 5-13 off to their slow start. 7.5 back. Baltimore leading the way at 12-5. Yankees a game and a half out. Boston 2 and Tampa Bay at 3.5.
So 4 of the 5 at least 500. The team that won the division into the postseason back-to-back, Toronto, is 5-13.
Coughlin 2 for 14 to start the season. It's a 143 average. He's been playing third base. Donaldson. So Darwin Barney over there for a little bit as well in this series.
Change up there from Chavez, though. Dangerous area to throw a change up.
Jesse twice a Toronto Blue Jay. 9 games, 2 starts for them in 2012. Last year, 39 games all out of the pen.
Really mixing in some good off-speed pitches early on. It's one of those feel pitches, whether it's your changeup or curveball. Early in the game, you know he has the fastball, the cut fastball. Also throws a hard slider. But the feel for those slower pitches to throw off the timing of the Jays hitters. will make your fastball better as the game progresses.
There's John Gibbons, Blue Jays skipper. Got a contract extension this offseason. First time he got let go by the Blue Jays as their manager. Back down to the minor leagues to manage in San Antonio. And a surprise hire when they brought him back. Been there for a little bit now. There's a strike. Down goes Conklin. 2 outs. Third strikeout.
Brought those off-speed pitches early in the at-bat. Paints the fastball away. 91-mile-an-hour fastball. Hitter looking off-speed. Fastball painted. Call third strike. Third of the game so far for Chavez. 2 of them looking.
Devin Travis, a 136 average. Two for 4 game yesterday with a 2-run home run in the 8th and a double in the 9th. Fouls this one back.
Good spot with the fastball. Now you have a shot at throwing a slider, start that same plane and break it off the outside corner.
Oh, 2. Smothered by Martin. Jesse, 3 strikeouts, 2 walks, 1 hit allowed. Short schedule throughout Major League Baseball on this Monday night. Breaking ball out toward left. Maben was there. Went to the bottom of the 2nd. Jeffrey Marte to lead things off with no score. Back in, I want to remind you to host a business function or celebrate a special occasion in your own private suite here at the Big A. Oh, well, I'm not telling you, but you could if you really wanted to. Suite Rentals offer all-inclusive food and beverage packages. Just go to angels.com/suites to reserve your suite today.
They were raising a roof down there.
Yep. Marte to lead things off against Liriano. 1 strikeout, 1 hit allowed in the first. Marte, Simmons, and Maven for the Halos here in the second. Lefty on the mound. Mike Scioscia opting to go with Marte instead of C.J. Cron. Jeffrey looking to strike. Marte was the starting third baseman yesterday with Escobar getting the day off. Went 0 for 3. Pop up and a couple of ground outs. It's a home run, a double, 4 runs batted in. He'll pull this one down the left field line. Long run over for Carrera, but good speed will haul it in for out number 1. Here's Andrelton Simmons. 2-hit game yesterday. Averaging an even 300 now. 3 home runs, 7 runs batted in for Simba.
That changeup away again.
Andrelton played in 124 games last year for the Angels. A total of 4 home runs. He's got 3 so far. Tight. Career high 17. That was in his first full season. The Atlanta Braves in 2013.
That home run he hit in Houston. First he's ever hit to right field.
He hasn't come close to that 17, by the way. His next previous high was 7 home runs the following year in 2014. Then he's gone to 4 and 4, and now he's at 3 this year.
Yeah, I think with the batting average though last season, very, very productive.
And he takes the walk.
And he's mixed in some walks this year.
That's his 8th. Did 28 all of last year.
When you look at his percentages of pitches chased out of the strike zone from the point when he came back, was healthy last year, middle part of the year, during the All-Star break till the end, and even into this season. A really nice job as far as bringing pitches in the strike zone instead of chasing them out of the zone.
Cameron Maben yet to get it going for the Angels. 2 doubles, a home run, a couple of RBIs, 192 batting average, 276 on base percentage.
See Liriano throw his changeup quite a bit, or slider in fastball counts. First walk of the game, 8th walk now on the season. A little over 13, just under 14 innings pitched.
Simmons on the move, then stops, and this is gloved. And it turns into a double play. And again, Andrelton Simmons doing that start-stop thing. And the Angels roll into another double play. We'll head to the 3rd with no score.
Brought to you by the all-new 2017 Subaru Impreza. Subaru's symmetrical all-wheel drive plus 28 miles per gallon. More than a car, it's a Subaru.
Top of the third with no score, 3 strikeouts, 2 walks, 1 hit allowed for Jesse Chavez. Facing 9 to 1 and 2. Goins, Pilar, and Carrero. The breaking ball. He was counted a ball and a strike. Goins has made some terrific plays defensively at shortstop over the last couple of games. Tulowitzki got hurt Friday night running to third base, hurt his hamstring.
Yeah, we've seen his swing so far at the plate. He's pretty good, especially if you go fastball up and away. But that changeup down and away, Goins unable to make contact on that all-speed pitch.
Espinosa comes charging in. They took a pretty big hop there. 1 down. Hey, get your red on. The 20-game flex plan offers a variety of game options to choose from, including premium matchups and popular promotional giveaway nights. Buy your flex plan today at angels.com/ticket plans or by calling 888-796-HALO.
So far, so good for Jesse Chavez. When we talk about the starting pitching of late for the Angels, we can think about 7 different starting pitchers in the last 9 games. But the ERA has been solid during that stretch, even though a lot of different starting pitchers. 2.36, 17 walks, 50 punchouts, 53 in the 3rd innings pitched. So the starters, for the most part, have been very solid. Matt Shoemaker along with Garrett Richards. Talked to Shoemaker today. He said he had a real good bullpen session, preparation for his start in a couple days against the Oakland A's. Very good that last time out. Did not get the win, but 7 very good innings pitched, 7 punch outs. Did that in 98 pitches.
Full count. Pilar worked to walk to lead off the game. Was thrown out at second trying to steal.
So far, Pilar's been pretty good as far as not chasing that 2-strike pitch out of the strike zone away. But you still have to pitch him away to be effective. Good power on the inner half of the plate, as we've seen in back-to-back games.
Breaking pitch got him. Down goes Pilar, 2 outs.
Look at our Fox tracks where the pitches were throughout that sequence. And then a break ball in the dirt. Stayed away from that power zone against Kevin Pilar on the inner half of the plate and elevated.
Guerrero pulls one out to right field, and that'll fall in for a base hit. Short, compact swing.
Pretty good sound off the bat on that one.
Yeah.
Lower part of the strike zone, but middle part of the plate.
That made the team as a 4th outfielder for Toronto. He's getting more and more playing time out at left.
When you think about it, this team has been hurt by some big-time DL stints already. Aaron Sanchez, too, they're a very good young pitcher, not available. Hap on a disabled list. Some pretty good young arms not available for you, especially ones that were successful last year between the two of them. But when you've been to back-to-back playoff appearances, you tap into that. And that experience of the club for John Gibbons, it's really started slow, really, when you think about it, the last couple of seasons, and it caught fire.
Bautista ahead of the count at 2 balls and no strikes.
Dangerous count now for Chavez against Bautista. What do you think in terms of pitching backwards? And the changeup and a fastball count. Good decision. See how Bautista was geared up for a fastball.
Almost got a chase. Full count.
Pretty good slider. Sharp late break. Third full count in the game for Chavez.
Carrera will take off on the pitch with 2 outs. There he goes. Now it's foul. Another foul off. Carrera heads back to first base. Scoreless here in the 3rd inning. Chavez ready. Breaking ball, and he lays off. It's a walk. So 2 on with 2 outs. Kendrys Morales coming up. 3rd walk issued by Chavez.
And get back to that. That's an unusual number for Chavez. But when you look at his career numbers against Toronto, it's a product of that. You don't have quite the confidence, even though you've thrown the ball well for the most part this season as a starter. You still remember teams that you have struggled against in the past.
52 pitches for Jesse so far, with 2 2/3 in the books. You got Kendrys to chase the first pitch in the 1st inning, hit a fly ball to left. Blue Jays 2 for 5 yesterday with men in scoring position, 6 for 20 in this series. 197 batting average in those situations so far this year. Shift on with Kendrys up. Bounces this one to first. Marte's got it, takes it himself. And we'll head to the bottom of the 3rd. Still scoreless. coming up for the Angels. Take a look at the Honda upcoming schedule. Oakland A's in town for a 3-game set beginning tomorrow night. Texas will host the Angels over the weekend. An off day in Seattle, then 3 against the Mariners in their first meeting of the season between those two teams. And then a 3 at home, 3 out on the road thing before returning home in the second weekend of May.
Oakland, one of the surprise teams so far. 1 game over 500. Jesse Chavez made the pitches when he needed to so far. Get some solid defense played behind him. Does have 4 strikeouts. Seen a lot of fastballs elevated of late against Danny Espinosa. Even started down in Houston. Had an off-speed pitch, low though. Back upstairs with the fastball.
Danny had the afternoon off yesterday with Pennington getting to start at second. 191 batting average, 2 doubles, 3 home runs, 12 RBIs. Ariano's always been one of those guys that seems to hide the baseball pretty well. Command's been at times erratic.
Yeah, and sometimes I think he gets into that mode of throwing too many sliders and changeups because he's got good deception. You're right. You don't see that baseball out of his hand the last second.
And that one in on the hands of Espinosa. Smoke will take it himself for the first out.
Now let's take a look at tools of the trade brought to you by Ram Trucks. You see that lead by Pilar. Good jump at Maldonado. A perfect throw and scoop by Andrelton Simmons as he tried to slide in there on the Fox Vision, able to apply the tag as he tried to avoid it. Keep that tag down. Even though the throw beat him, you have to make sure you apply the tag. Well done by Maldonado and Andrelton Simmons. Talk about that competitive arm strength for Maldonado. One of the best over the last couple of seasons as far as that release time. Last season at 1.91. But already this season anywhere between 181 to 185, well above the average.
Showed 1. Martin hitting 273. I think they should bring back the skills competition during the All-Star break, and that should be one of the skills. Yep. Catchers throwing from home to second base.
I do remember that part of it in '88 in the All-Star game in Cincinnati. That was fun to watch.
Right fielders throwing into home. Base runners going first to third.
You see it in hockey where they time how quick their shot is or how quick they skate.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Here's payoff.
That got him pretty square.
Yeah, he's got that. If you didn't know he had an elbow guard, that sounded like it hit him right on the bone, but he's got that protection. It still hurts, but much, much better with that thing on.
Yeah, he runs his fastball in. He didn't want to make a mistake with it. And got it right on that protective padding, although it's not real big. But it got him right on that spot. That's not a bat. After that, we talk about how quick that pop time is behind the plate to that pop time on that protective guard and sound.
Escobar takes a strike. Yanelo for 1 with a strikeout. The only punch out Liriano's picked up so far tonight.
starting to utilize that four-seam fastball. That's the thing that Russell Martin tried to get him to do last season. They were together in Pittsburgh, trying to make him believe again in his fastball instead of all sliders and changeups.
2-1.
And there's, even though it's a 3-1 count, you would think fastball from Liriano, but he doesn't necessarily always give in. And he did. Backdoor slider.
Yeah, full count.
As a hitter, you have to take that pitch. I mean, it starts off the plate and he brings it back and catches the corner. See where it starts off and then he brings it and gets the corner frame well by Martin. There's nothing you could do as a hitter. If you go after that pitch, you're liable to hit that ball on the ground to a middle infielder.
Reaching forward, bounce to the left side, off the glove, goes to Goins. They get the out at second.
Goins seems to be everywhere at that shortstop position. It's a pretty good read to be able to get that and make the force out. And now it's time for the driver's seat, brought to you by the new 2017 Kia Optima with Cole Calhoun coming up to the plate and how much success he's had against left-handed pitching. Most home runs versus lefties as a left-handed batter in the AL since 2015. Kyle Seager with 24, Robinson Cano, don't you know, with 20, Chris Davis, and then Cole Calhoun with 14 big flies against lefties.
Cole got a base hit in his first at bat. Takes low. One strikeout, one walk, one hit batter so far for Liriano. One hit allowed. Good rip by Cole. It's a count of the ball at a strike. Liriano with the experience against the Angels. Lost twice against the Angels last year. Once with the Pirates, once with the Blue Jays. One All-Star season. His first All-Star season was 06. With Minnesota was 12-3. 16-win season for the Pirates in 2013. So the Pirates took a flyer on him, brought him in after he finished the season with the White Sox the year before. As this one's hit to the right side, Travis has it. Halos are done here in the third. Right to the fourth inning, still scoreless. Southern California. Angels baseball on Fox Sports West is being brought to you by your Southern California Toyota dealers. Let's go places. Top of the fourth inning here at the Big A, the fourth and final game. The old wraparound series. Always seems like the Angels play wraparound series in Toronto every season. This year it's Toronto here for 4. Not a 4-game series early on this year already. Smoke takes a breaking ball for a strike.
Boy, if you're Toronto, you've had to feel like you're here for a long, long time. Although, if you're Toronto, you're real happy about that.
Well,
if you're going to be at a place for 4 days, this would be the place.
Yeah, slightly different weather right now in Toronto versus here. But the Sunday day game to the Monday night game on a wraparound, it seems like forever when you're on the road. Then the old red eye to St. Louis.
Yes.
Angels be on that red eye themselves on Thursday going to Texas.
Good change up. Pitching backwards by Jesse Chavez. What we mean by pitching backwards, you're watching the game tonight. A lot of times in certain counts, as a hitter, you sit fastball. Instead, as a pitcher, you're throwing something all speed. Get him out in front, throw their timing off.
Swing and a miss. Down goes Smoke, 1 away. Smoke's gone down swinging twice. 5th strikeout for Chavez.
And staying lower part of the strike zone and staying off speed. Good breaking ball for the swing and miss. Talked about Smoke being able to hit high pitches. So far, Jesse has stayed below the strike zone against him at all speed.
Hit the screen, or did that hit Fredo's body?
I think so. He was thinking about throwing.
That is launched out to left center field, and the Blue Jays are going to have a 1-0 lead. Russell Martin gets into one, his second of the season.
Well, he continues to swing the bat well against the Angels. 2 hits in this game, including that solo shot here in the 4th. It's supposed to be a fastball in, end up being a fastball right down the heart of the plate. And Martin able to clear the hips and then barrel the bat and created the lift. Hit that ball a long way.
Brings up Coughlin.
.164th career home run. So one thing, when you're going inside on a hitter, and if it drifts out over the plate, you're going right to that barrel of the bat. All you can hope for is a pop-up. That's why a lot of times you'll see a catcher set up in, but then sometimes even off the plate in. So if you make a mistake, they'll be off the plate and out of the strike zone.
Coughlin shooting one out to left center. Slicing away from Trout, he'll still call for it. 2 down. Home run allowed by Jesse, the 32nd home run allowed by the Angels this year. That unfortunately leads Major League Baseball. toward right center. Trout is there. And the inning comes to an end. But the Blue Jays strike for a run on the Russell Martin home run as the Angels trail at 1-0.
Major League Baseball. Steven Souza Jr., the AL Player of the Week, .414 batting average, rocket out for his second home run of the week, 9 RBI for the week. Souza Jr. But Bryce Harper for the Nationals, .550 batting average with 3 home runs and 7 RBI. The NL Player of the Week for Bryce Harper, off to an outstanding start for the Nationals.
The Angels trail at 1-0 here in the bottom of the 4th inning. Trout, Pujols, Marte due on for the Angels against Francisco Liriano. Russell Martin with his second home run of the season, the 18th hit by Toronto. 18th coming to play tonight with 17 home runs on the offensive side.
Trout will be swinging first pitch.
Yes.
Seeing that more and more this season for Trout. He himself has been red hot. .429 batting average of 4 RBI, 2 home runs during that 7-game hit streak.
This one down the right field line, slicing away from Bautista. He's not going to get there. That's a fair ball. Mike's on his way to second as Bautista falls down. Trout now realizes it, trying to go to third. The relay's not in time. Liriano backs up as that throw gets away, and hopefully Trout didn't hurt himself as he slowed down at second and sped back up.
Boy, the way he accelerates. One of those many, we talk about 5-tool players. That's one of those tools that Trout has. And the ball checked up on Bautista. He slips and falls as he tried to turn around and make a quick throw to second. And Trout right down the line. He's got an 8-game hit streak now. And you can see that angle he takes. He sees and picks up. As he's slowing down, he's going to have to go head first slide, and he realizes that the baseball's not in yet, then turned it on and slides in head first. Third base. Good backup, though, by Liriano to be there. A lot of times you'll see as a pitcher, you're a spectator.
Time is called as Trout's got to go with the old J.C. Ramirez belt replacement move here. Trout gets credited with a triple.
And Bautista again tried to turn around quickly. There could have been a play, especially with his throwing arm. We talked about that last night. Trout able to accelerate and get into third.
How about getting ready to dive head first into second base, decide not to, still touch the bag, turn, and go
and then all of a sudden this takeoff.
Yeah.
One of the many things that Trout does that we just, the wow factor.
Second triple of the year for Trout.
I guess he heard us talking about players of the week. He said, you know what, it's a new week.
Infield back. They'll concede the run. In tight. Ball and a strike. Albert 0 for 1. He grounded to short in the first.
So Trout now with 2 triples on the season, 7 doubles, 5 home runs. Albert, great numbers career-wise, over 350 versus Toronto with 7 home runs.
This is looped to left field. That'll tie the score 1 as Albert picks up the RBI single.
Talked about him in the opening, how well he has hit in this series against Toronto. Cole Calhoun likes that RBI single from Pujols. 368 hitter here at the Big A. Brought his hands inside again. That's what we talked about and showed in the opening tonight, how well he's brought his hands inside. Cleared the hip. Enough on that barrel of the bat to produce another RBI for Albert. 16th on the season.
1,833rd RBI in his career, tying Dave Winfield for 17th all-time. He's at first, and here's Jeffrey Marte.
How important was that base running by Trout? Ends up scoring on that single from Albert.
Marte, a fly ball to left the second.
Marte tracked that fastball pretty well off the plate. Looks comfortable in there now.
2-shot back to the mound. Second double play the Angels has hit into in this game. 2 down.
Going back to Mike Trout and what he did to start this inning. Top tier play brought to you by Arco. It's that baseball right down the right field line. He's thinking double and knows he has to turn it on, especially with Bautista's arm. Think about head first slide, then picks up the fact that Bautista had fallen down trying to make the throw, and head first slide in for a triple, eventually scoring the tying run on the base hit from Albert Pujols. Another big RBI for Albert. Going back to that at bat by Marte, he was tracking the ball well, and then he chased that changeup down, knowing that Liriano has a very good plus changeup.
Andrelton Simmons worked the only walk that Liriano's allowed so far tonight. Count even up. 2 balls, 2 strikes. You can see the Angels answer right back to the Martin home run at the top of the inning. Full count.
Didn't see quite a few pitches once again by Andrelton Simmons.
Three-two. Ball short. Goins has it. Angels are done here in the 4th, but Trout's triple, Pujols' RBI single ties things up as we head to the 5th.
They both have hit so well at the Big A coming in this game. 382 for Trout. That'll go up with that triple. Great speed. Gets him to scoring position. Albert drives him home with a single.
Angels baseball on Fox Sports West is being brought to you by GMC. Top of the 5th inning here at the Big A, 1-1 tie. Chavez to face 9-1-2. The Blue Jays half of the ninth, or of the 5th, pardon me. Ninth place hitter Ron Goins, so for 1. He grounded out his first time up, now with his second triple. Pools with his 16th run batted in. Sharply hit and into right center field. So Goins picks up a leadoff single. Pilar coming up.
When another off-speed pitch to him. Track that last one. The 2 pitches before were off speed. 1 a strike, 1 not in the strike zone. Eventually stayed back on that one well for a base hit. Early in this series, we saw Pilar square around the bunt. We were surprised at that. Their hottest hitter coming into the series.
Pilar with a walk and a strikeout so far.
Boy, Toronto coming into this series here. It's 11 home runs as a team, but have hit 7 so far into the 4th game for John Gibbons.
And too many of them coming late in the game.
Yep. Russell Martin with a home run tonight. Kevin Pilar with back-to-back games with home runs.
Good lead for Goins at first base.
Again, trying to stay away against Pilar.
.71 pitches thrown by Jesse so far. 70, pardon me. Here's the 71st. That's in there.
Another good spot. That time on a changeup.
Leadoff single for Goins, standing at first. Good breaking ball. Bouncer to short. See if they can turn it with Pilar. They do. 2 down.
I'll tell you what, when you talk about some strong arms in your middle infield, and Pilar runs well, and Goins quick himself at first base, but this turned out to be almost a routine double play. How quick on the transfer for Simmons, a perfect feed to Espinosa, who always gets a lot on that throw. And you don't even see Pilar really in the picture at that point. Chavez liking that play by his middle infielders.
Well, it started with Jesse, too, executing the off-speed pitch away, getting Pilar out in front.
Yeah, it's staying away from that hot zone for Pilar, inner half of the plate. It's fun to watch those guys turn a double play, how quick and strong their throws are. That's a 10th double play turn of the Angel infielders in the last 8 games. 10 in 8 games. Impressive.
1-1. 2-1. Carrera struck out looking in the first, singled in the third. Bouncer. Marte comes charging in. He waited. That little hesitation.
And he's upset with himself too. If all this trickle foul. He tried to get up there and then stopped. And out in front, Carrera. And he runs up to make the play, and then that slight hesitation. Even though we see that baseball stay fair, but when it's hit like that, it's very difficult, especially when it's going to go by the grass and into the dirt.
2-2. Chavez gloves it. With trouble with it. Getting over. We'll head to the bottom of the fifth inning. Halos at the bottom third of their order coming up in a 1-1 game.
By Mike Trout. It's worthy of a Carl's Cam replay. How quick he was able to get around the bases, even with a slight hesitation going towards the base at second. He reads that one down the line. He knows he's going to have to turn on the afterburner with Bautista there, then reads that he fell down and then picks up some speed and still gets into third in a little over 12 seconds for Mike Trout.
Reads that he fell down with what, the Cyclops eye in the back of his head?
He's that good.
Or did somebody tell him, hey, stand up? It's unbelievable.
It would take an hourglass to measure the time for us to go to third.
No doubt. Yep. The one thing that's amazing, too, because Bautista really has played Trout toward the right field foul line quite a bit.
He was getting himself into the throwing position. That's why he slipped on the warning track. And that's why Trout realized he had to turn on that afterburners from first to second. Do we ever doubt anything he does?
No. I think sundial. More so than an hourglass.
Yeah, for us.
Yeah.
Calendars, anything.
2 balls to strike on May, but who grounded into a double play in the second. Little flip out toward right center field. Maven's on board with a leadoff single. Hey, join your Angels tomorrow, April 25th, as they take on the Oakland Athletics at 7:07. Fans in attendance will receive a coupon for a free large one-topping pizza, Gooby.
Yes.
For more information on the pizza coupon, courtesy of Papa John's, visit angels.com/promotions. #ZAW.
Yes.
That's your thing.
Yes, it is. Maybe could I have your coupon? I'd like to have two.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
Dude, seriously, if we counted up all the pizza
I know. It is good for you though, right?
all the food groups.
Yes, it is. Get your vegetables with the tomato sauce on there. I'm perfect.
Yep. Here's Espinosa, grounded out his first time up.
And generally, you don't necessarily want to put a hit and run on with a left-handed pitcher on the mound, but he is susceptible to the stolen base. Last season, 11 stolen bases in 12 attempts against Liriano. None so far this year.
He's on the move. Straight steal. Maben's in there. Good jump. The Angels have a man in scoring position with nobody out.
And another good decision by Espinosa. He squared around as if he was going to bunt. This slight distraction to the catcher, as you see right there. Brings the bat back. It's a high pitch, but that slight distraction allowed, well, maybe half an extra step for Maben as he slides in. Up his second stolen base of the season, keeping that hand on the base, even with that hard tag. Make that the third stolen base. I can't even read my own writing. No, that's a shocker.
Pizza. You're thinking pizza.
I might have had some pizza sauce on there, I think.
Is that what you call that,
yes.
writing?
Yeah. I could have been a doctor.
3 balls and no strikes. Maldonado on deck. That's unbelievable.
Yeah, look at that.
It's a scribble.
Yes.
It's an art form, though.
It is.
Ball 4. Borderline pitch. Liriano thought he had a strike.
Now, if you're trying to, you have to be expecting. John Gibbons has to be expecting a bunt here now. Martin Maldonado. Long look down at Ron Renicky.
No sacrifices as of yet for Maldonado. He's got Maben at second, Espinosa at first. Coughlin in at third, Smoke at first. Teamed right away, showing bunt, pushes over toward first base. Smoke thought about going to third, will take the out at first as a sacrifice, puts runners in scoring position.
Yeah, he looked real quickly over Russell Martin and asked him, did he have a shot at third? Very good fielding first baseman, Smoke.
2-4 is the put out. Escobar coming up. Tough homestand for Udell, including tonight 1 for 9. Toronto's going to bring its infield in.
Anytime the infield's in, they're a much better hitter right away, and Escobar's always been good as far as, especially with runners in scoring position, producing this run or two here with a base hit.
Takes down and in.
Always a good pitch. If you're on the mound in an RBI situation as a hitter, you're geared up for a fastball. First pitch you always want to try is that fastball in. Escobar did not chase it. Now he might see something off speed going away.
He now 3 for 9 with men in scoring position this year. Takes just off the plate. And again, Liriano a little frustrated. Russell Martin now chirping with the home plate umpire, Toby Basner. It was off the plate.
Fastball in off the plate. First pitch, change up. Just a little bit off the outside corner, though. We thought he might go change up. Wanted it. Maybe a situation when you want to bring that umpire out and ask exactly where that pitch was. Basner's going to go out there quickly to break up that conversation.
And Martin and Basner having a conversation as they stroll back to home plate. Maben's down in the third, Espinosa at second. One out here in the fifth. back to the off speed. Ground ball to second base. Maven's coming home to throw for Travis, and a low throw. Maven gets the hand in there ahead of the tag. 2-1 Angels. Escobar will get credited with an RBI.
That was a great read, though, by Maven. He was quick and just avoided that tag. Travis had a firm throw, also quick in his release. But it was all about the slide and avoiding the tag. Off the end of the bat, infield in, got himself in throwing position. One hop throw, but still quick, and a perfect slide by Maven.
That ball short hop Russell Martin, and it may have allowed Maven to get the hand in there. See if the
Never even got, well,
can't tell because of Basner blocking it. Did he ever tag him? I don't think so.
Did he ever get his hand on the plate?
He got the foot there.
Yeah, then he got the foot on there.
Just to make sure.
Yeah. They might take a look at it.
Yeah, they are going to.
Because certainly if there was a tag applied at all.
The angle we just saw couldn't see because of Basner. We were blocked there. Call safe at home. But it's always a tough play for a catcher, especially with you have no idea where the base runner's at. And then on top of that, it's a one-hop throw.
And is there a clear path to the plate? Also, was there a tag ever applied? Right there on the foot.
Well, there it looked like it got him on the foot, didn't it?
Yes.
Didn't seem like Martin argued a whole lot. Get another angle.
Did he touch that back part of the plate?
See, you know, the one prior to that looked like it got him on the foot. This one didn't even look like it came close to the foot.
And
That's
his reaction as a catcher, the reaction was, if you feel you applied a tag, you're gonna jump right away.
I mean, not a bad idea by Gibbons to go ahead and challenge it.
Is there a clear path, though, for Maven to even get to home, if that's even going to be in the discussion anyhow, for Mike Scioscia, if indeed this is overruled?
Get another angle here.
Well, that whole path is blocked for Maven.
Before the baseball
is there. So that could be a challenge also.
Headsets are coming off here. Terry Lane's the crew chief. I mean, there's an appearance that maybe the glove hit the foot, but the call stands. So it's an RBI for Escobar, his 6th of the season. Espinosa ends up at 3rd. The Angels have runners at the corners now for Calhoun.
Pretty tough play on that scoop from Russell Martin to make it close.
That's what I'm saying. You short hop, all of a sudden, you know, the glove's going in one direction, then you got to redirect the glove to a sliding guy, you know.
It would have been real interesting if they overruled that and called him out, because then Mike Scioscia definitely would have came out and said, hey, where was that clear path for Maven to try to score on?
Cole 1 for 2 so far tonight with a single and a ground out. Dominic Leone getting ready. Trout on deck. This one's out to shallow center. Alar calling for it. Espinosa's not going anywhere. 2 down.
Go back to my Hyundai key for this game for the Angels tonight. Talk about every little thing. Again, an opportunity to expand on a lead, already score on a contact play. Talk about every little thing to be able to win this game against Toronto had split this 4-game set. Manufactured a run with a walk. Single in this inning, some good base running. Sacrifice bunt by Maldonado. Good base running there by Maben to avoid the tag. Mike Trout trying to help add on here. Tripled his last at-bat, scored a run.
John 1 for 2 with a triple and a fly ball to right. 8-game hitting streak now.
Martin wanted that fastball up. Liriano missed down. You know how well Trout hits pitches on the lower part of the strike zone.
Gets the call to the top part of the zone.
Trout 6 for 15 versus Liriano. And trying that high fastball. All 3 pitches, fastballs.
Two balls and a strike with 2 outs, 2 on.
That's one thing Trout has seen quite a bit. I mean, there have pitchers, they won't give in. And another fastball call that looked like it was out of the strike zone. Trout not liking that call, saying that baseball is up. There are fox tracks just above the strike zone. 2 of them, they were called strikes above the strike zone. Going back upstairs with another fastball.
Checks went foul.
And because of those pitches are called, Trout upset with himself for going after. You have to. They've been called strikes.
Two balls, 2 strikes. Got him. And the Angels are down here in the 5th. They do get a run on the Escobar fielder's choice. It's 2-1 Halos as we head to the 6th.
Has done in this early part of the season. Eric Thames against Amir Garrett, a very good left-handed pitcher. Second deck home run for Thames, and not to be undone goes the other way against Garrett again. 10 home runs on the season, 17 RBI, 373. What a story for Eric Thames in the Milwaukee Brewers.
The Cecil fielder of 2017.
Unbelievable power.
Fielder coming back from Japan. Thames coming back from Korea last couple of years.
Amir Garrett, a very good left-handed pitcher for Cincinnati with a power fastball, good breaking ball, yet home run to right center, home run to left by Thames.
Thames has a .910 slugging percentage and a 1391 OPS.
That's okay, isn't it?
I believe that might be good. That might lead the league.
That's a great story.
No doubt. Two balls and a strike on Bautista. He'll be followed by Morales and Smoke.
Well, Liriano did a pretty good job of limiting that damage. Last inning for the Angels now very important for Jesse Chavez to put up that 0.
Lifted out to right. Cole moving in. One out. And this copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Los Angeles Angels and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Angels Baseball LP. Morales 0 for 2 with a fly ball to left and a ground ball to first. Two count. Both teams with 4 hits. Both teams have stranded 4. Chavez at 85 pitches. Struck out 5, walked 3. Gave up the home run to Russell Martin in the 4th. Behind here 3-0.
Morales will be swinging here 3-0. Careful this groove in a fastball.
Here's Merrill Petit getting ready. The old 3-1 off speed. You back it up with another one?
Yes. Morales is in swing mode right now. So he tried to exploit that by throwing some off speed as he went after that off speed pitch. See, it's sometimes when you're on the mound and you know a hitter wants to swing the bat. Morales can drive the ball to the alley to both sides, right center and left center. So he's going to be more aggressive. So you got to use that against him by something off speed. He can even drift it down and away. Just keep it down, elevate it. He will hit it hard. Down and away, you have a chance to get a swing and miss.
Got him. Down goes Morales. 2 outs. Strikeout number 6 for Jesse.
First baseman, number 14, Justin Smoke.
Good target set by Maldonado. Two-seamer. Actually, he wanted a little cutter. Again, something you don't want to go with that power fastball in that mode. He's going to be up there hacking. He's not thinking in terms of single. He's thinking of extra base type of swing.
2 balls and no strikes. Espinosa out at shallow right. Simmons on the second base side of the bag with the shift on. 3-0.
Had to fight back to get Morales after being behind 3-0. Same thing here with Smoke. Driven the ball very well early part of the season. Don't give in with a fastball. He threw that fastball. It was in that, almost in that danger spot. But Smoke, some hitters just aren't comfortable swinging 3-0, anticipate 3-1 the same pitch.
Missed outside. It's a 2-out walk. Russell Martin, who got Jesse with the 4th inning with a home run, coming up. Nagy's going to come out, pay a visit. Martin 2 for 2 with a single in that home run.
This is more of a conversation on game plan, since you mentioned what Martin has done already in this game against Chavez. Let's make sure they're on the same page. Martin has looked comfortable, including his home run in the 4th inning. Singled in the 2nd inning.
Toby Bazner out to break up the rock pile. .95 pitches for Jesse. Scheduled to start yesterday's game, but because he was pressed into action in the 13th inning Friday night, pushed back a day. Daniel Wright made the start instead with 5 shutout. He got sent down today as the Angels' new acquisition, David Hernandez, is in uniform and in the bullpen.
Season high in walks today for Jesse Chavez.
1-0.
Seems like at this point he's trying to muscle up and fight through to finish off this inning.
Which is counterproductive, right?
Yeah, that means it generally tells you that he's starting to lose a little bit on his location, his fastball command. Got a call there. You know, we've always said he's been one of the most competitive pitchers we've seen in the game. Trying to fight his way through to get this final out of the 6th inning.
Yeah, looked like he may have gone around. Did not. Mike Machlinski with the call. It's 2-1. You don't really have to worry about Smoke over at first base. Short lead for him.
I'm worried more about Martin. That was another good swing. He went after him with a 2-1 fastball. One of those moments now, that next pitch, number 100. I think in terms of, I have to have my best pitch of the night right here. And the best pitch will probably end up being a breaking ball from Jesse Chavez.
2-2. Going fastball away, full count. So now Smoke can get a head start from first with 2 down. And more than likely last batter for Chavez. Marte going to play behind Smoke.
5th full count for Jesse. That becomes significant too, by Smoke allowing him to get a little bit of a head start here now.
(3-2) and called strike 3 on the outside part of the plate. Martin wasn't happy last half inning, certainly not happy here as we head to the bottom of the 6th. Angels still up. Sixth inning, it appears as if John Gibbons may have been tossed, or somebody's been tossed by the Toronto Blue Jays. If Gibby is gone, it'd be back-to-back games in which he's been ejected. And he's going down the stairs. There's DeMarlo Hale, the bench coach. This is the pitch that Martin struck out on.
101st pitch of the game. Fastball off the outside corner at 92. Gets the call. There's the ejection in between innings. John Gibbons figures at that point he's going to have a quick conversation. We said it a lot this year. A lot of pitches off the outside corners have been called strikes. That pitch, about a baseball off the outside corner at 92. Still good velocity on that fastball from Chavez, but gets the call.
Pujols, Marte, and Simmons for the Angels here in the sixth. Liriano still out there. Albert 1 for 2. Grounded out in the first. Had an RBI single in the fourth. 1,833 career RBIs now for Pujols. Still at 593 career home runs. A strike. Now, if Basner doesn't call that pitch a strike, I think Martin starts chirping even more. It's almost as if he held that pitch there
just to make sure that
extra,
I might have something to say.
1 or 2.
Man, we saw last inning with Mike Trout that played a couple pitches that looked like they were just slightly above the upper part of the strike zone, called strikes.
Albert fouls it back. Got a pitch and drive there in the upper part of the zone. Oh, that didn't look good though. As you watch Albert walk around, the left arm looked like he kind of put it around his lower back area.
Like Scioscia looking on at Albert Pujols. He's trying to get comfortable again in the batter's box.
Breaks his bat, rolls one.
Whoa!
Never saw the barrel of the bat. That thing almost stuck him.
And look where it ended up sticking, right in the dirt.
Holy cow!
Very scary moment there. Wow.
1 out.
Hopefully as Albert gets into the dugout, he'll be okay. And fortunate enough, Coughlin is okay also at third base. Went right back with another changeup away, and Albert out in front. Boy, it looked like he just almost moved that arm away at the last second as it was going towards him, that part of the bat.
Jeffrey, a fly ball to left and a double play ball. In at the knees.
Jesse Chavez, who threw 6 very good innings, 101 pitches thrown, 7 strikeouts. There's 4 hits allowed.
3-1 now. Foul.
Generally, anytime you see a starting pitcher sitting up at that part of the dugout, that means his night is finished. Good job by Jesse tonight against a team he has struggled against.
Marte works the walk. Third base on balls issued by Liriano. It's a man on with 1 out. Take a look at the in-game box score for the Angels. Total of 4 hits tonight. Trout extending his hitting streak with a triple down the right field line. Pujols an RBI single. Escobar hitless, but did pick up the RBI that gave the Angels a 2-1 lead in the 5th. Fielder's choice got the job done there. Here's Simmons, walked in the 2nd, grounded out in the 4th. So he's 0 for 1.
With 95 pitches thrown in this game by Liriano. 45 fastballs, 28 sliders, 22 changeups. So quite a few off-speed pitches, more than the percentage of fastballs thrown of his 95 pitches. There's 5 more strikes than pitches out of the strike zone for Liriano tonight.
Good lead for Marte at first, and they'll check in on him. Leon loosening once again. He was up last half inning. Pulled to left, base hit. Marte will round, and he's going to go to 3rd. Simmons is going to go to 2nd base. Heads up play by Andrelton.
Yeah, great base running. As soon as he saw that throw going towards the 3rd base bag, he never hesitated. Got into scoring position himself, taking away the potential ground ball double play. Good base running too by Marte. Cut that angle, read that one down in left field right away, knowing as a left-handed throwing left fielder, you have a better shot before he gathers himself to throw towards 3rd.
Andrelton gets credited with a double.
2nd of the season, 2nd time on base with a walk and a double. Infield in now for Toronto.
There's the automatic walk, and Maben will take it. So the bases are loaded now with Espinosa coming up.
I wonder if they're going to go down to the bullpen now.
Yep, sure enough. DeMarlo Hale, the bench coach, taking over for John Gibbons for the 2nd straight game, makes the call to the bullpen. A pitching change here in the 6th inning with the Angels up 2-1, looking for more with the bases loaded. West is being brought to you by the all-new 2017 Chrysler Pacifica Hybrid. Go the distance with 84 mpg and a 566 total driving range. By Mercury Insurance. We're on a mission to save you money. Log on to mercuryinsurance.com to get a fast, free quote and see how much you can save. And by Buick. We're in the bottom of the 6th inning here at the Big A. The Angels have them loaded. Francisco Liriano, 97 pitches, is done after 5 1/3. 4 walks. That matches the season high. 2 strikeouts, 1 hit batter. And it gives way to Dominic Leone, the right-hander. One-time Seattle Mariner. Leone so far 7 games, no record of 3.12 ERA. Second appearance of the series.
And I think the reason why Hale goes down to Leone here is because he's got a power fastball, 91, 96, slider curve change, but he's going to try to elevate the fastball against Espinosa. That's exactly why you try to do that. Power fastball upstairs. See if Espinosa can make that adjustment and force him down to his spot in the strike zone.
Infield halfway for Toronto. Marte, the base runner at third, Simmons at second, Maben at first. Jesse Chavez, more than likely done after 6 innings, 1 run, 4 hits, 7 strikeouts, and 4 walks. Some of his former mates. Espinosa's 0 for 1, a ground down and a walk.
And exactly what I thought. Leone coming in, high fastball. And this is where Danny Espinosa has to think in terms of shorten up his swing, have to make contact. A lot of room in right center field. The punch went into that outfield for an RBI single, possibly 2 RBIs on the swing.
It's 1-2. Leone still just 25 years of age, 16th round pick by Seattle in 2012. 25 games last year with Arizona. Waiver claimed by Toronto. 1-2. Espinosa chases the off-speed pitch. 2 down.
After 3 straight fastballs. Upper part, middle part of the plate, dropped an all-speed pitch, curveball in the dirt. Had Espinosa thinking fastball. Throwing the breaking ball instead to get a swing and miss, expanded the strike zone.
So it's up to Martin Maldonado here. Base is still loaded, 2 outs now. Hit by a pitch in the 3rd, sacrifice bunt in the 5th. Good rip as he fouls it back. No official at bat tonight for Maldonado as of yet.
Gotta be ready, Marte, just in case that break ball once again from Leone is in the dirt, especially ahead of the count.
There it is. Nice block by Martin.
Late break to that too. That's a difficult play as a catcher.
2-2. Pardon me, 1-2.
Pretty good job by Maldonado just to foul that pitch off. That was a nasty pitch.
Tough situations for Maldonado this year. 1 for 10 with men in scoring position, 1 for 6. And there have been 2 outs. Behind in the count. 2-2 now.
It's not easy for a catcher to reach up and get that 95-mile-an-hour fastball, especially with 2 pitches before breaking balls and all of a sudden an overthrown fastball that high. And someone with a quick reaction to catch that high pitch.
A walk, a double, and an intentional walk to load him up. Espinosa struck out for out number 2. 2-2 count here on Maldonado.
There was that mistake pitch. Right down the heart of the plate. Maldonado just fouled that one back. Gotta believe now he's going to go right back to a breaking ball after that swing and mislocation back to back with fastballs.
Bautista playing shallow and right. That was almost like a cut fastball.
Yeah.
Full count now. Now you get the merry-go-round going. The base runner's taking off on the pitch. Little head start.
And that was off the plate. Russell Martin tried to bring that one back. Clearly off the strike zone.
Runners go to 3-2. Maldonado takes a cold strike 3 on the inside part of the plate, and the Angels leave them loaded. We head to the 7th inning. It's a 2-1 Halo lead. Splits. We take a look at the Major League scoreboard. A short schedule throughout the baseball here on this Monday night. Minnesota ended up beating Texas 3-2. Twins scoring all 3 of their runs in the 5th inning against Martin Perez. Baltimore stays hot, 6-3 winners over the Rays. The Royals continue to struggle out on the road. They dropped this one 12-1 to the Chicago White Sox. Colorado over Washington. San Diego creeping back on the Arizona Diamondbacks. Will Myers had a big 3-run home run. San Francisco leading the Angels, or the Dodgers, I should say, 1-0.
Hey, Colorado was playing real well. They were down 4-1 in that game against the Nationals.
Yusmeiro Petit on for the 7th time this season. And we face the bottom third of the order. Coghlan, Travis, and Goins. Petit, no record, a 1.80 ERA, 10 innings, 6 hits, 11 strikeouts, and 3 walks. And a little bit high. 2 balls and no strikes. Coghlan 0 for 2. Struck out looking in the second, a fly ball to center in the 4th. Coghlan gets a leadoff single. And a 2-0 pitch. He will slam on the brakes. Last couple of games, Toronto has turned it on late against the Angels bullpen.
Bautista, big home run late in this series.
Travis, a couple of fly ball outs. Good lead for Coghlan at first. He's on the move. Travis is swinging a miss. Thrown out by Maldonado. High throw. Espinosa trying to apply the tag.
And they called him out because of interference on the swing by Travis.
Oh, DeMarlo Hale might get tossed here.
He did fall across the plate. It forced a high throw for Maldonado. He's trying to show exactly what the swing was.
DeMarlo Hale, the bench coach, out. Toby Basner, the home plate umpire.
And you can call the runner out or force him back to first base.
Jerry Lane, the crew chief, has come in from second base. Looks like Coghlan's back at first.
And you can see right here he's getting in position to swing, fastball away. And then the bat hits Maldonado on the follow through and then the step across the plate by Travis. Forcing that high throw. And you see on the follow through the swing. And as he's going to throw, hits him with the bat. You see that slight. The baseball bobbled out of his hand on the throw from Maldonado.
And DeMarlo's certainly not happy. We saw Gibbons get ejected yesterday, got ejected today. DeMarlo heated once again here.
It's a huge out here into the 7th inning.
So Coghlan's back to first. Travis is called out. The batter cannot in any way impede the catcher's ability to throw down to second base.
And that means whether it's the bat or stepping across the plate. Coughlin's still staying there at first base. Wait a minute, are they putting him back at first base?
Yeah. They called Travis out and Coghlan back to first. Batter's interference. Ryan Goins 1 for 2. He had a single in the 5th inning.
You've had some odd calls in this series.
Well, the beauty of baseball is you never know what you're going to see. Popped him up. And Simmons drifting out of the shallow center. 2 down.
Center fielder, number 11, Pilar.
Kevin Pillar tonight, a walk, a strikeout, a double play ball.
I wonder if Coughlin will be going again.
Oh, with Escobar playing very deep at third base. Pillar taking a shot. Oh, what count?
Although what Pillar has done late in the game, you might not mind that a bunt attempt from Pillar.
One ball, one strike. Blue Jays have Joe Smith getting ready in their bullpen. The Angels have the top of their order due up in the 7th. Two and one.
Ten pitches thrown by Petit in this inning, only 4 for strikes.
Two-one count with 2 outs. Coughlin a leadoff single. Devin Travis called out for batter's interference on a Coughlin attempted steal. Going to pop up. 2-1. 3 balls and 1 strike. Really worried a lot about Coughlin with 2 outs here.
Now with 2 outs, you got to worry about a guy at the plate who's hit a couple home runs in the series already. Been their most consistent hitter so far this year, and Kevin Pillar. Can't let that focus go away from the batter, especially when you have an arm like Maldonado behind the plate. A lot of times as a pitcher, when you have a catcher like Maldonado, you've kind of taken that thought process away of a potential stolen base against you because he's got that type of arm. You're going to have that concentration on the hitter.
Pillar skies one to shallow left, just got underneath this one. Calvin Maben comes in. And it is stretch time here at the Big A. Halos have the top of the order coming up. Escobar, Calhoun, and Trout looking to add to their 2-1 lead. With then, I want to remind you that MLB.TV Premium is back and better than ever. You can watch every out-of-market regular season game live on over 400 supported devices. Plus, get a free subscription to At Bat Premium, the #1 app for live baseball. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Just go to MLB.TV for details. Yunel Escobar, Cole Calhoun, Mike Trout to face the former Angel, Joe Smith. This will be his 9th game this season. Second appearance of the series. 2 earned runs. And a member of the world champion Chicago Cubs has yet to receive his World Series ring. But the Blue Jays will play the Cubs later on this year.
It's pretty cool seeing Joe earlier today. Albert Pujols was out with his son Ezra. He was hitting some ground balls, and Joe came over and had a long conversation with Albert Pujols. Jose Molina was also there.
Escobar tonight 0 for 3 with an RBI. Jammed him with that slider.
They kind of backed up on Joe instead of going away where he generally would throw his slider. Backed up on him and jammed him.
Brings up Cole. 1 for 3 tonight.
Cole 1 for 2 versus Joe Smith in his career.
Ball and a strike. Pulled toward first, and that is foul. It was wide of the line. Cole goes down swinging, chasing the sinking fastball, 2 down.
And this 2-seamer running off the outside corner. Good movement from Joe Smith against Cole Calhoun to get a swing and miss. Starts middle part of the plate, runs off the outside corner, unable to make contact. See with this baseball, it took a look at a tracer how far that baseball moved for a 2-seamer Joe Smith. As he tried to track it as a hitter, and runs off the outside corner, unable to make contact.
Jammed him. Slow roller right side. Smith gloves it. The Angels down and order. We head to the 8th inning. 2-1. Angels lead it.
Calhoun and Trout there, bottom 7, but we head to the top of the 8th now. I'm Patrick O'Neill. Angels leading 2-1. So much has happened so far. I couldn't possibly talk about it all right now in the 15 seconds I'm allotted, which is almost up, but Angels Live postgame brought to you by your SoCal Mazda dealers. We got you covered. Jose Mota, Alex Curry with all the interviews, but right now, most importantly, Victor and Mark, top 8's been the Achilles heel for the Angels in this series.
Way to bring us down, Patrick.
Sorry.
We appreciate it. At the top of the 8th inning. Just
we love you. We love you, Patrick.
Patio. Yusmeiro Petit. The scoreless 7th. See if we can keep it going here in the 8th. Carrera, Bautista, Morales, 2, 3, and 4 for the Blue Jays. Ezekiel, the left fielder, 1 for 3. Had a base hit in the 3rd inning.
And the pattern continues for Petit, falling behind in the count.
Two balls, 1 strike. Each team scoring a run in the 4th. Russell Martin with his 2nd home run of the season off Jesse Chavez, made it 1-0. Pujols single scored Trout after he tripled. And Escobar with the fielder's choice put the Angels up 2-1 in the 5th. And that's where we stand now.
Challenge with a fastball, 2-1, hard of the plate, fouled it off. Pete's best pitch, though, he's got a real good changeup. Good slider also.
Check swing, and that is a fair ball. Ezekiel Carrera will stop at first as Maben was playing shallow toward the line, so the leadoff man's on board. Excuse me, single to lead off the 8th.
But upstairs, he can do that. Did go with the changeup, fooled him on the speed, but it was elevated. He was able to make contact. If it's down, unable to do so. Punched it by Escobar. Well off the base. Now the dangerous Jose Bautista. Plus you got to deal with the speed of Carrera at first base.
No balls and a strike on the Blue Jays right fielder, who's walked twice and hit a fly ball to right in the 6th. Bautista in his career 0 for 3 against Petit. The Angels have action at their bullpen, and it's their newest reliever getting ready, David Hernandez. Fouled back, and that was a pretty good rip.
Got a fastball. Was able to get his arms extended. Got away with that one. Just slightly above the belt. Pretty healthy hack. Bautista.
There's Hernandez. Acquired in a trade for the from the Atlanta Braves. 0-2. Downstairs. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Player to be named later or cash. Carrera leadoff single. Off the plate. 2 balls, 2 strikes. The groans from folks here at the ballpark. Toby Basner's strike zone's been a little erratic tonight.
We've seen quite a few of those pitches caught off the outside corner.
Yep.
So it's worth that gamble on the 1-2 pitch.
You could almost classify it as effectively wild zone.
Yes.
All the Blue Jay fans along the first base line starting their "Let's Go Blue Jays" chants. 2 balls, 2 strikes. And Bautista fouls one at the plate. Maldonado unable to hang on to it. So the at-bat continues.
And Maldonado upset with himself. It's a very difficult thing to do to sometimes be able to catch that foul tip. I thought he had it just that off the glove.
Breaking pitch, and he pops it up. Maldonado in foul territory. One down.
It was a dangerous spot also, but just got him out in front enough to get him to pop it up. Now the conversation with Maldonado and Petit, whether that's a decision to give Hernandez a little more time to get warmed up or to game plan against Morales.
David had gone to spring training with the San Francisco Giants. Let go in March, signed with the Braves. And had a May 1st opt-out. The Angels needing some depth. Ended up working a deal for Hernandez yesterday. He's here and he's coming into the ball game. It's a 2-1 game with 1 out in the 8th. Download the app and take Fox Sports West and Angels baseball wherever you go. David Hernandez, right-hander, whom the Angels just acquired from the Atlanta Braves, on in relief. Pitched with the Phillies last season, 70 games, had a 3.84 ERA. He was pitching in the minor leagues with the Atlanta Braves at AAA Gwinnett. Had a 1-0 mark in 7 games with a 2.25 earned run average, 8 innings, 9 strikeouts, and 2 walks. He'll face Kendrys Morales with 1 out and a man on. And a 2-1 Angels lead here in the 8th. Kendrys with very good numbers in his career against David Hernandez. 3 for 6 with 3 home runs, 6 RBIs.
Hernandez fastball is 92, 96. Curveball, changeup. Has added a slider this season. Thrown in AAA. It's been very effective for him.
Fastball missing away, and it's 1 ball, no strikes. Hernandez, 31 years of age. Born in Sacramento, grew up in the Elk Grove, California area. Orioles 16th round pick in 2005. 2-0. Been a reliever pretty much exclusively since 2010.
He overthrew the first 2 pitches so far. Morales has rolled into 3 double plays. Hernandez would love to get that ground ball in an infielder.
Charles Nagy, Angels pitching coach, familiar with Hernandez from his days with the Diamondbacks. Morales skies one to left. Maben has to come in and toward the foul line. 2 down.
Big out against a guy that had a lot of success against you on the mound. Very important to get that out. 3 home runs for Morales against Hernandez. Get him to pop out on a good fastball count. Missed it. See the frustration by Kendrys.
So it's Justin Smoke coming up with Carrera still at first base. Couple of strikeouts and a walk for the Blue Jay first baseman. 0 for 1 in his career against Hernandez. Backdoor breaking ball. 0-1. Best season for Hernandez probably 2012 with the Diamondbacks when he went 2-3. The 2.50 ERA in 72 games. Outfield deep, at least Trout and Calhoun are deep. Breaking ball misses.
And Smoke will be seen in the series. Very good on high pitches. Hernandez trying to stay soft, trying to stay down and away.
Carrera with the excuse me base hit to lead off this 8th inning, still at first base. Fouled off the foot with the instep. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
All speed. Right off the top of the foot in. Even though he has that protective guard, it's the one spot where it wasn't. From part of the foot, trying to walk it off.
Picked off. Marte runs it down. And this half inning is in the books. Way to the bottom of the 8th. Halo's still up 2-1.
The Angels coming into yesterday's game, no pickoffs, led baseball as far as that category. Now 3 in the last 2 days. Big pickoff by Hernandez to finish off the inning.
Pujols, Marte, and Simmons coming up. Nice pickoff move to get Ezekiel Carrera. That's the last thing you want to do as a base runner in a one-run game with 2 outs and a guy with the potential to put you in the lead.
Exactly. One that swung the bat well in the series at that point.
One-time Angel Jason Grilli takes over on the mound. Joe Smith had himself a 1-2-3 7th inning, which included a strikeout. First appearance for Grilli in this series. Grilli this year 0-2 with a 7-11 record. 7 games, 1 save, 6 1/3 innings. 6 strikeouts, 5 walks, and he will slow everything down.
And as a hitter, you have to step out like Albert did.
Breaking ball in for a strike. Albert tonight 1 for 3, had an RBI base hit in the 4th. Chopper to third. Coughlin's got it. Smoke gets the foot down before Albert arrives, and there's out number 1. So it's Jeffrey Marte stepping in. Jeffrey getting the start today with Liriano on the mound. 0 for 2 with a walk. Breaking pitch, and that's out toward left center field. Hit well. Pilar racing back and makes the catch as he steps onto the track. 2 down.
Hit well by Marte. Pilar able to run that one down.
Bud Norris getting ready. He will pitch the 9th. Smoke, Martin, and Coughlin coming up. Andrelton Simmons 1 for 2 with a double and a walk.
Well, that outside, or a little bit off the outside corner, I should say, strike has been called. A little smile from Andrelton Simmons on that call.
Foul back. Grilli finished 2014 with the Angels, pitching in 40 games. Picked up a save, went 1-3 with a 3.48 ERA for the Halos after coming over from Pittsburgh. Going to Atlanta in 2015. Started Atlanta last year before getting moved to the Blue Jays. Watch out. Holy cow.
And all you hope for is when he fell back, it looked like he might have twisted his ankle and his back on that one.
It almost looked as if he said something to Russell Martin regarding his back.
Remember, he had that issue in spring training. Trying to walk it off, move around. And this fastball way up and in. You see the back It's a foot caught underneath him as he's trying to avoid that one in the back, arching his back. Mentioned he had a little bit of a back issue towards the end of spring training when he came back from the World Baseball Classic. And ideally, as a hitter, when you have a fastball like that, if you have time, you want to turn the other way. With the head, see the arching of his back, seems to be okay now.
One, two. Line to Smoke, and that'll do it for the Angels here in the 8th. We head to the 9th inning. Really, Mr. Simmons knows that was unintentional. 2-1 Halos.
And now it's time for the Land Rover Above and Beyond player of the game, Jesse Chavez. Very good tonight in the start against the Jays. Goes 6 innings, 1 earned run, 7 strikeouts. Really had the location of his fastball going, but his changeup and break ball very solid throughout. Some very important pitches, some great movement, lower part of the strike zone. Effective for Jesse Chavez as he's our player of the game.
Well, he's in line for a W if Bud Norris can come in and close things out. Here the 9th inning. Bud pitched Saturday against Toronto in 1 inning. Threw 6 pitches, allowed 1 hit, had 1 strikeout. Taking over the closer role for the injured Cam Bedrosian. 10th game this year, no record. 4 earned runs in 9 2/3 innings.
Cam Bedrosian. Andrew Bailey playing catch, getting a little bit stronger.
Justin Smoke to lead things off. He was at the play when Carrera got picked off there in the 8th. First one down and in. Smoke has faced Bud Norris before, 3 for 7. With a walk. Russell Martin on deck. Chris Coughlin after that. Base hit to lead things off. With the shift on, Smoke beats it. Here comes Russell Martin, who's had a 2 for 3 game with a single and a home run. It's Darwin Barney coming out as the pinch runner. One stolen base on the year for Barney. Much better speed than that of Justin Smoke.
Norris had a nice double play turn behind him when he picked up his first career major league save by Andrelton Simmons the other day.
Yeah, it was on Saturday. That was an incredible diving play to his left. Ball that Devin Travis hit. Only one other game being played right now. Giants leading the Dodgers 2-1 in San Francisco. That game's in the 9th. 1-1 pitch. Good breaking ball. Catches the corner. 1-2. Cole in a little bit in right. Trout toward right center, the opposite way from Martin. Maven straight up and left. You see the defensive alignment.
Trying to get him to chase that slider off the plate.
Two-two pitch. Takes low. Full count. Chavez 6 innings, 1 run, 4 hits. Petit an inning and a third, 2 hits allowed. Hernandez 2/3 of an inning, and now Norris. Angels trying to piece this one together. 2-1 here in the 9th.
Does Barney go on a 3-2 count?
Check in on him. 7 hits for Toronto, 5 for the Angels. Halos had a big opportunity, a couple of opportunities really to add on in the 5th inning, but had the bases loaded 1-out situation in the 6th, but Espinosa and Maldonado struck out against Dominic Leone. Barney's on the move. 3-2's fouled off to the right.
Pretty good hack by Martin.
One for 3 in his career with 3 walks against Bud Norris. Barney again on the move, and that's a ball. A walk to Russell Martin. Puts 2 on with nobody out to start the 9th.
This is a conversation about the bunt defense right now also.
Coughlin 1 for 3 tonight. Base hit in his last at bat. 1 for 16 in his career against Bud Norris. No sacrifices as of yet this year. Escobar in on the grass at third. Marte will play in at first. Good speed at second at Darwin Barney. Russell Martin, the runner at first base. Coughlin 2 for 11 in the series. Showing bunt now. And he bunts it foul. A couple of right-handers warming for Toronto just in case.
squaring around again.
Pulls that bat back.
So you try to do, throw an elevated fastball to see if you get him to pop it up.
Norris ready. Coughlin showing 1-1. Pops it up and it goes foul. I thought Yunel maybe would have had a decent shot at making an effort after it.
See where Escobar is playing on the pop-up.
Got to go after that ball, don't you?
I don't know if you can get there, but you still think in terms you got to give it a shot at it. You never know.
Unless you try. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
I wonder if he's going to be asked to bunt again with 2 strikes.
Second baseman Devin Travis, the man on deck.
He's not squaring around this time early.
1-2. A pretty good rip at a fastball, fouls it straight back. 96 from Norris. One run, 7 hits, 6 left on for Toronto. 2 runs, 5 hits, 7 left on for the Angels. Norris has thrown 13 pitches here in the 9th inning. 6 balls, 7 strikes. Looking for that first out.
Coughlin has not grounded into a double play yet this year. Pretty good speed at the plate.
Check swing. They want an appeal. He went around. Third base umpire Marvin Hudson rings it up, 1 down.
Pretty sharp breaking ball from Bud Norris. See if Coughlin crossed the plate. Yes, no question.
So it's Devin Travis at the plate. 0 for 3. Travis 0 for 2 in his career against Norris. Lays off. He was called down at his last plate appearance for batter's interference on a Coughlin stolen base attempt. That was in the 7th inning when Toronto got its leadoff man. They've actually done that in the last 3 innings. Two and 0. Just caught the inside corner. Simmons trying to keep Barney as close as possible to the bag at second. Grounded towards second base. Espinosa to Simmons on the first. Light that baby up as the Angels pick up the victory by the final of 2-1.
Boy, always pretty to watch that middle infielder do their thing. Danny Espinosa flips over to Andrelton Simmons, and a perfect way to finish off this game. A 4-6-3 double play turn behind Bud Norris. He picks up his second career save to flip, and then the fire over the first base. As Angels split this 4-game set with Toronto. Some solid defense, the perfect feed, and a lot on the throw. Finish off the W. Talked about needing every little bit to be able to win this game. The defense was there, just enough run support, and some solid pitching once again. Angels starters last 10 games, 2.28 ERA. Jesse Chavez picks up the W.
Never a dull moment late in the game, that's for sure. As far as the Angels are concerned, they made it interesting getting the first 2 base runners in the 9th inning, but Bud Norris gets the strikeout. And then, like he did on Saturday, a big double play ball as he picks up his second major league save. The Angels getting a run on that Pujols RBI, his 1,833rd of his career. Let's go down to Alex Curry.
Cameron, what a way to end this series. Every game came down to the wire. What was the key to pulling off this victory?
Just staying together. Our bullpen did a great job. Jesse did an awesome job of keeping us in the ball game. We scored timely runs, and we played good defense. That's what we've been doing, playing great defense behind our pitchers. And hopefully we can swing some momentum our way. It was a big win and a good way to go in the next series.
You guys did a great job manufacturing runs. You getting your hand in at home plate. How did you avoid that tag?
I don't know. It's like the Matrix. I don't know, man. Just trying to do what I can. Trying to use my athleticism, my long arms, go-gadget arms. It worked, and it was a huge run.
Well, you guys needed that magic tonight. Congratulations on the win and splitting the series.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Well, there you have it. The Angels split the series against the Blue Jays for a final of 2-1 tonight. A big 9th inning. Stick around because we have the Angels Live post-game show coming up next with Patrick O'Neill and Jose Mota right here on Fox Sports West.